Coming up then very soon, UK inflation as, well, the big story, 40-year high, 9%. And I don't think any of us are immune to what's going on with the cost of living at the moment. Well, it's always good to get some help, some financial advice. And we're going to hear from a financial advisor very soon from Fareham here on BBC Radio Solent. UK inflation is at a 40-year high of 9% as energy and food and fuel prices soar. And I don't think any of us have been immune to what is going on with the cost of living crisis at the moment. Some people in the south struggling to feed themselves and their families as well. And it's always good to get some help and some financial advice. Well, George Rashbrook is a financial advisor at Sterling and Law, Hampshire in Fareham. And George joins us now. Hi, welcome to the programme, George.
Good afternoon, Lucy.
Yeah, share some of the work that you've been doing, because I know that you've been working with teachers lately. What advice have you been giving them about their finances, and what have they been saying to you?
Well, a lot of things are kind of happening at once, I suppose. And so in terms of the cost of living crisis, I've had a number of people that have come to me and said, look, I'm thinking of opting out of my workplace pension scheme, because then I can take more money home and it'll make paying the bills a lot easier. So I guess what I've been doing is working with them to understand, the benefits and the drawbacks of that. And generally, my advice in that respect is as much as you can, avoid doing something that's going to have a huge effect on your long-term finances. And just because of a potential small benefit in the short term, if that makes sense. Yeah,
it's tempting though, isn't it? You can see why, isn't it, to get through now. But then, of course, being a financial advisor, you're always sort of looking long term, aren't you, with your finances? What about for not just teachers, but other people, sort of everyday people? How do you even think about saving at the moment? That's the thing, isn't it? It's just getting through for a lot of people. Yeah.
Well, you're absolutely right. I think that the best advice I can give is just to really put yourself in an informed position. So we all know our direct debits are going up and they're going out of the bank every month. But when was the last time you actually wrote down how much comes in and how much goes out and where it goes? And sometimes just doing that exercise can be really eye-opening. And then review what all of those payments are. So are you getting the best deal on your gas, on your electric? Have you reviewed your mortgage recently to make sure you're not paying more interest than you should be? Is there still a direct debit that's going out for some insurance policy and you can't quite remember what it is? And in reality, you don't even need it. I haven't got that dishwasher anymore. It died 7 years ago. Why am I still insuring it? It's amazing how often, these things come up when I'm going through these details with clients.
Yeah, you're so right. Review your finances, because I did exactly that the other week, and there's something that was going out every month, and I was like, why am I even? Why? What am I getting out of that? So that's a really, really good idea. I've done it myself and benefited from that. For other people, for those in retirement who aren't working, how is this level of inflation affecting those in retirement?
I think the people it's affecting mostly are those who are reliant either on their savings to pay their bills, or they've got pensions or investments that are invested in various markets. And I think one of the things it's doing is forcing them to revisit their views on risk. So more and more people are coming to me and saying, well, I've always kept my savings in the bank because I view that as safe. And things like the stock market, the bonds market, they scare me a little bit. Whereas now suddenly, with prices rising, and if you're lucky, you might be getting 0.7% on your savings. If prices are going up by 9%, that is now scarier than being in a market that might fluctuate day to day, but is actually putting you in a position where you might earn some real returns. So I think it's just a case of, again, putting yourself in an informed position, understanding how all of these things work, so that you can make a decision. That means maybe your money won't be wasting away as quickly as it might if you're just leaving it, in a low interest current account and eroding it, month by month.
But so where would you be getting returns? Is there anywhere to get returns at the moment on any money that you've got sitting around?
Well, there is. What we struggle to find is anywhere that's going to give you anything with any guarantees. So, received wisdom says if you want a guaranteed income, put it in the bank. It might be low interest, but at least you know what you're getting. If you invest in any of these other markets, so a lot of people are in property and buy-to-let property or managed property funds, in the stock market, in the bonds market, buying gold and oil and all sorts of things. They all have the potential to make money. Mm-hmm. They're all quite volatile at the moment, but if you're taking that longer-term view, and my advice is always diversify, spread around, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Yeah. There is the potential out there to make good money, and markets have taken a real dip since sort of November. So buying into some of these markets now, it's, things are on sale. It's a good time to buy potentially.
Yeah, so like you say, it's a totally different market, isn't it? And pressure has been put on the government to help people with a windfall tax. And let's just explain. Windfall tax is a one-off tax levied on companies who have deemed to have made unreasonable high profits. Oil companies, for example. The money then recouped from the tax would be used to help households that have been hard hit with the rises in energy prices. What do you think? Do you think that's a solution that the government should be considering and implementing now?
I think it's one they should consider. It's certainly controversial. I think a lot of the argument in favour of it is the price of gas and electricity and oil has gone up purely due to the global economy, due to supply and demand. So nothing these energy companies have done, but they are profiting as an unintended consequence because their profits are a percentage of what they sell. So some people are saying, well, actually, they're recording record profits while the rest of us are struggling to pay our bills. That's unfair. It should be looked at. Yeah. But the other argument is our entire economy is based around rewarding people who work hard and are profitable. So if we start penalising companies for being successful, there's a question of whether that, undermines the entire kind of, fabric of the way our economy runs. So it's I can see arguments on both sides, and I wouldn't like to be the person trying to make that decision. No,
that's interesting. You show the other side, actually. That's really... And we're talking about working hard. The minister has suggested that struggling Brits could work more hours, get better paid jobs to cope with the cost of living pressures. What do you make of this advice?
Well, when I first read it, I was a little bit shocked. The answer to the situation can't be, we'll go out and get another job. I was a single parent for years. My children are older now, but I barely had time to work one job when they were younger. So not everyone's in a position to do that. But actually, having thought on it, I think there is some wisdom to it, in as much as I think it's the small changes that are going to make the biggest differences. So actually, if you can afford to do 1 or 2 hours overtime, that might be just what you need to get you through this. Or if you can do a bit of flexible working and work from home one day a week, and the time you would have been sitting in the car, put your overtime in there, for example, or little changes like that. Just maybe car sharing so that you're cutting down your petrol costs. Having aspirations, pushing yourself and furthering your career is always good advice. But that seems to be more of a long-term strategy than a short-term fix. If we could all go and earn more in the short term, I think we'd have done it already. So yeah. Well, you've given us a lot to think about there. George, thank you so much. Really good to speak to you this afternoon here on BBC Radio. Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Cheers. George Rashbrook there, financial advisor at Sterling and Law Hampshire in Fareham, talking to us here on BBC Radio Solent.